Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. This is a channel where I take real-life mysteries, unsolved crimes, and shocking true stories, and bring them to life using cartoon and storytelling. Now, these aren't just random tales. These are real events, real people, real tragedy. I'll be walking you through each case step by step, giving you the facts, the theories, and letting you decide what really happened. So if you love deep dives into mystery, suspense, and the unknown, stick around. You're going to want to see this. So, picture this. It's the mid-1970s. Disco is playing on the radio. People are dancing, life feels good, but somewhere in the quiet corners of suburban California, something dark is about to begin. A man is watching, waiting. He doesn't have a name yet, just a shadow, a presence. And over the next decade, he will strike fear into entire neighborhoods across California. He was fast, he was smart, and for years, he stayed one step ahead of the law. No fingerprints, no witnesses, just terror. He would sneak into homes late at night, tie up husbands, attack wives, then disappear without a trace. For years, no one knew who he was, only that he was out there, lurking, waiting, hunting. Some called him the East Area Rapist, others called him the original Night Stalker, but most just called him the Phantom. This is the chilling story of one of America's most elusive serial predators, and how DNA finally brought him down. It all started in Sacramento, mid-1970s, quiet neighborhoods, families raising kids. Life seemed normal, peaceful, safe. But then, things began to change. Couples reported waking up in the middle of the night to find a stranger standing over them. No noise, no forced entry, just someone already inside, watching, waiting. He wore gloves, never left fingerprints, always made sure the victims were too scared to call the police. And sometimes he'd leave behind something disturbing, a Polaroid, a bite mark, or a note that said, "Don't call the cops." At first, local detectives didn't realize they were dealing with a serial predator. Each attack seemed isolated, different towns, different counties, even different police departments. But as the number of cases grew, so did the fear. People started locking their doors twice, hiding under beds, whispering his name in the dark. The East Area Rapist had arrived. By the early 1980s, he evolved. His attacks became more violent, more unpredictable. He moved south to Southern California. And now, he wasn't just raping, he was killing. One night, Richard Norris and his wife were sleeping when they heard a noise. Moments later, a masked figure burst into their bedroom. He tied up Richard, blindfolded him. Then, he attacked his wife. When it was over, the intruder vanished. But not before leaving behind a terrifying message. "I'll be back." That same year, he struck again. This time, he didn't leave survivors. On the 1st of July, 1985, the bodies of Keith Harrington and Patrice Lavelle were found inside their home in Irvine, California. They had been stabbed multiple times. Their house showed signs of a struggle, overturned furniture, blood splatter, footprints leading out into the night. This was the moment everything changed. Investigators realized this wasn't just another random murder. This matched a pattern. And now, for the first time, they had real forensic evidence. DNA. But despite this breakthrough, the killer stayed hidden. He continued to strike, moving from neighborhood to neighborhood, town to town. He was always watching, always waiting. For years, detectives chased leads. Some promising, some dead ends. Some believed the killer was a former cop. Others thought he might be connected to military training. But none of the suspects ever matched the DNA. In 2001, investigators released a sketch based on witness accounts. It showed a white male, late 20s or early 30s, athletic build, possibly balding. It was plastered across every newspaper and news broadcast. But still, no one came forward. The case was going cold, and the fear was fading. But for those who had survived him, the memories never went away. Then, in 2018, everything changed. Using a revolutionary technique called genetic genealogy, investigators uploaded the killer's DNA profile to a public ancestry database. Within days, they had a match, or at least a close relative. That led them to Joseph James DeAngelo, a former police officer from Citrus Heights, California. At 72 years old, he lived quietly in a modest home, surrounded by neighbors who had no idea what he'd done. On the 24th of April, 2018, police raided his home. Inside, they found boxes of memorabilia from his crimes, Polaroids, trophies, even the hammer he used to commit at least one murder. The Phantom was finally caught. Joseph DeAngelo faced trial in 2020. By then, he was frail, barely spoke. But the courtroom was filled with people ready to tell their stories. Survivors, families of victims, detectives who had spent decades chasing him. They stood up and described how he had changed their lives forever. One woman said she still checked her doors twice every night. Another said she hadn't slept alone in decades. Finally, after years of silence, DeAngelo admitted guilt. He pleaded guilty to 13 murders and more than 50 rapes. He received life in prison without parole. Justice, long overdue. The Golden State Killer may be behind bars, but his impact remains. He changed how we think about safety, how we investigate crimes, and how we use technology to solve mysteries once thought unsolvable. His case also raised ethical questions about privacy and the use of DNA databases. Was it worth solving the crime if it meant exposing millions of innocent people's genetic data? Most importantly, it reminded us of the courage of survivors and the power of persistence. Because of their strength and the determination of investigators, justice was finally served. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's darkest chapters, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more true crime stories. Thank you for watching. And remember, the truth is always stranger than fiction.